YouTube channel Nos Confunden. The theory of the invisible projector dome. On this path to deep knowledge about the environment and the dome world we live in, many of the ancestors who are always ready to help answered as many questions as necessary, both 2L and other great masters. I'm going to try to take you through the same path that I have had to travel since I arrived in these wonderful lands. YouTube channel Nos Confunden. The dome is not specific to our lands. There is at least one dividing dome for each world or circle environment or cell matrix, whatever the reader likes to call them. This transparent dome that seems to function as a kind of plasma membrane due to its main function is much more complex to understand and, of course, to analyze. It is the representation of dividing layers of multiverses and of a totally different inner-outer connection. For that reason, the custodians and Anunnaki not only easily manipulated our world due to their advanced technology, but also that of so many others. But why is this dome so important, and how does it relate to lost human history? Well, to answer this question, we have to first understand that if this theory is true, knowledge about the true universe is being deliberately withheld from us, and this could lead to a transformation of our society completely, about our understanding of human existence and our spirituality absolutely. 2L then states, we can say that in addition to encapsulating our lands, this dome also encapsulates our reality, and from there starts the basis of custodial manipulation and lying about our life purpose, our past, and consequently, our totally uncertain future. YouTube channel Nos Confunden. These domes do not seem to be artificial creation, at least by any colonizer, a priori known, but it was manipulated at least certainly in our lands of origin, to act as a great projector of the sky that we know. It thus gives us a great cosmic simulation to test our experience on Earth, and the creation of an inaccessible outer space, where it seeks to reflect what we are, so that the story of outer space becomes easier to educate us with the idea of human insignificance. YouTube channel Nos Confunden. The fact of feeling ourselves a mere distant point in a vast universe full of stars and full of galaxies far from each other, where everything moves, where theories abound, and the Big Bang Theory also becomes relevant. The invisible projector dome theory demolishes all these theories, because if everything we see in the skies is part of this great simulator with advanced custodial technology, then the question will inevitably arise. In what world are we really living in? And when one begins to question these issues that we took for irrefutable truths, everything around us seems to tremble to later collapse completely. YouTube channel Nos Confunden. All this is just a summary of the information I found in the great ancestral library and of all the enriching conversations with ancestral humans. For this reason, I am going to go deeper into this subject that I consider of great importance at the time of beginning to analyze the home where we live and the worlds that surround us. The first clash of realities when crossing the Morris Passage and crossing the first dome beyond the physical force of thrust that you feel is to try to turn off the mind that is quickly filled with questions that your own eyes cannot answer. This crossing is not only physical, it confronts realities and adds up to a total destruction of imposed dogmas. It is really like being born again. YouTube channel Nos Confunden. All the concepts studied or analyzed are shattered in just seconds, But in addition to all these mixed feelings, the first thing that one is impregnated with is that forgotten feeling of being important again. And I am not referring to the mere fact based on egocentrism, but as humanity, an inner strength that seems to be asleep about our being is revitalized. The fact of understanding that we are not a distant point in a vast universe that shows the heavens projected by the dome is of such significance that makes us face what follows with a totally renewed energy. Every ancestor is educated in different ways, but the Great Ancestral Library is not only a large database that collects information and experiences from various points of the different lands or worlds, but it is also a must-visit to be able to understand in depth about the records of how different historical events happened that during the various resets were deliberately destroyed from our history.
YouTube channel Nos Confunden.
The Great Library was destroyed several times by custodial attacks, but it has such a complex and advanced system that absolutely none of the database could be manipulated, let alone permanently destroyed. For that reason, several libraries were erected in different parts of the ancestral lands, but it was decided over time to locate this great structure in the capital, the Ark, and since many suns ago, it is located in the same place, where it is visited daily by both ancestral beings as Anakim, or cases of extreme rarity as humans of the new cycle, as in this case.
Nos Confunden.
All the records of ships and vessels that have visited these lands during the great periods of life here, outside of the known lands, are found in this great structure, and several of them caught my attention so much as to mention some of them in the previous ones, and that I will go on to mention in the following. Some of them in the previous ones, and I will also share them gradually, but it seems to me that it is appropriate to start with the invisible dome projector, the one that will serve as a bridge to begin a new path. Then we will travel back in time to the first human civilizations that forged great centers in these lands and endangered so many times the dark colonizing plans.
YouTube channel Nos Confunden.